Hey guys, welcome to Video Game Corner. It's me, Jason, and today I want to talk about Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. You know, when Mighty Number 9 came out, everybody was talking about, everybody's real excited, but then you had the naysayers say, oh, it's just a Mega Man clone. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a Mega Man clone, okay? Because everybody keeps asking for a Mega Man game, but we're not getting it. Same thing with Castlevania. We want a Castlevania game, but we're not getting it. Lords of Shadow 1 I thought was really good. I thought it had a lot of potential. Everybody likes to say, oh, it's a clone of God of War or Dante's Inferno, but if you look at the history, and I've said this before, God of War is a clone of Soul Reaver and Rygar on the PS2, and same mechanics. So, and then if you go back further, they're a clone of something else. Everything's a clone or a style of something else. It's just the way it is. But that's okay. I look at the story and I look at how much I enjoy the gameplay. Story is a big deal for me. That's why I love the Souls games, because they have such a deep story. A lot of people don't even think they have a story, but they do, trust me. Then we look at like Lords of Shadow 2, and it was complete. It was terrible. It was a terrible game. It started out really well, first few minutes, and you thought, man, this is going to be a cool game. And then it goes to modern day, and you're like, Castlevania should never be in modern day. It's not a modern day game. Granted, there were like Area of Sorrow and stuff. They were in the future, but it was still in a castle with swords. They didn't get too complicated with it. It still held true to the Metroidvania style of Castlevania. And here's another thing about Metroidvania. If a game's made in a Metroid style, it's not Metroidvania. Games like Axiom Verge that just came out, that's not a Metroidvania game. A Metroidvania game is a game that is a Metroid style, because Axiom Verge is a Metroid style game. It's a Metroid style in Castlevania with a Castlevania title, or stretching that definition, it could be even like a medieval style game, like a 2D, big castle type thing. That's Metroidvania, not, a Metroid style game. That's a Metroid style game. So, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, I would say, would be a Metroidvania style game. Plus, the guy who made Castlevania and created this style is making it. Made Symphony of the Night. And he's even got the woman who did the music back as far as, I guess, Bloodlines. She's going to be doing the music for it. They got David Hayter already signed on, who did the voice of Snake in the Metal Gear Solid series. He's signed on. I think he's playing character Gebel, if I read correctly. Now here's the cool thing. Now here's the thing about it's been kickstarted, and it's going to be made, and they're going to have physical releases, digital. I was talking to Cody about this. We got in conversation about it a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about digital versus he's worried about everything becoming digital. And I said, well, it's simple. It's the business. See, these companies, they don't care whether they do physical releases or digital. They're going to give us whatever we buy. Now, if people are buying digital releases instead of physical, then they're going to sell us digital. And he's like, oh, you don't get it. And I said, yeah, I get it. It's just that, people need to stop buying digitals if they don't want them. I myself, I'm not that worried about it, because I know there's always going to be emulators, and yeah, it kind of sucks, but digital is kind of cool to have. I mean, not digital, I mean physical's kind of cool to have, but it all comes down to a preference. And we all would like an option to have the two, and that'd be nice, but these companies aren't going to do it forever. And they don't care about collectors like us. They don't care about that. They care about how much money they're going to make. So that's why they're going to do whatever the fans want. It's an interesting thing, because usually the people complaining are the minority. Usually. For example, my friend Asa Lieri, he does that reviewing a reviewer series he's been doing for years now. And he started doing these videos about feminism, and everyone's like, we don't want to see feminism, we want to see reviewing a reviewer. Nobody wants to see this. And he says, but wait a minute. And he showed him his analytics from his YouTube. And nobody was watching. He did a reviewing the reviewer, not that far back, when he did this video showing them. And then he showed his feminism videos, and he's getting all of his... Everybody was watching the feminist videos, but nobody's watching reviewing a reviewer. And he says, this is what you want, because this is what you guys are watching. If you want reviewing a reviewer, watch it. You know, comment on it. You know, have some interaction. But, you know, that's the thing about people. They don't realize that the math behind it is what a lot of businesses look at. They're not looking at, you know, whether a collector, well, you know, collectors want to keep something in their home. They're looking at what's selling the best. That's all they care about. And it's an interesting topic. And as much as I'm kind of a halfway collector, I collect, you know, I care about physical releases when it comes to like titles I really enjoy, I love. Like I always collect anything from FromSoft I buy, which is the Souls stuff. I collect Castlevania stuff, and then there's just certain RPGs I want to have, you know, physical copies of. But for the most part, I don't really care that much about having a digital release. Sometimes it's all about how much space do I have on my hard drive on my console at the time, and that's always, you know, I factor that in. It sucks that, you know, they want to start giving us more digital releases, but you know, we don't have the room on our consoles to do it. I actually had to buy a second PS3 when we got our tax return. I had to buy the 500 gigabyte because my 160 was just filled all the time. I always had to delete games, and some of them I hadn't even finished. It's a pain. So physical copies are a good thing. Now, let's go back to Bloodstained. This is the important thing. You know, the question keeps getting asked, you know, why aren't you guys making, we keep asking these big companies, why aren't you making the games we're asking you to make? Why is there no new Mega Man game? Why is there no new Castlevania, 2D Castlevania game? Why is there no Final Fantasy VII remake? That crap that they did at that convention not that long ago where Square Enix came out and said, oh, we're going to re-release the original game. People, before, everyone's clapping and cheering, all excited. Then they showed the trailer, and everyone's like, huh? And then you had like 5 people clapping. It was like, it was so disappointing when you see that. And people were mad. And people are tired of this. These are companies that we used to love and respect back in Super Nintendo, PS1 days, because they were giving us hit after hit after hit. You know, whether it be Castlevania or some RPG like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. Even though Dragon Quest is still doing okay, it was never that big here. But you know, then you got people that love Chrono Trigger, even though I didn't really like Chrono Trigger that much, but I tried. I like it okay. I just don't get the appeal. But you know, things like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and Breath of Fire and all these series that they kept making games into, like the PS2 era, and then the PS2 versions always seem to fall flat for some reason. I don't understand that either. It seems like they were trying to get too innovative with these things, and sometimes it's just better just to keep it simple. And just focus on a really good story. RPGs are a funny beast anyway, because they're not for everybody, but yet the people that do love them love them. They love RPGs, and RPGs are just a funny beast. You know, the thing is, I've been thinking about this since yesterday. I looked yesterday at Bloodstained, and when I first looked yesterday morning, it was at 223,000. Just before I started recording this video, it was at $1.5 million. Yesterday I was watching it throughout the day, and it was averaging $1,000 per minute. I mean, that's insane. And in the video, I forget the guy's name who's putting this together, the Symphony of the Night guy, Igarashi, or I can't remember. I'm not going to even try. He was saying in his, in his sales video, basically saying, to fund this Kickstarter, he says publishers are saying nobody wants a 2D Castlevania anymore, and he thinks they're wrong. And of course they're wrong. I don't know what these corporate heads are thinking. I really don't. But I think part of it is they're thinking that they're untouchable, because, and it reminds me back in the days when the Tucker car, if you guys know about old automobiles, the Tucker, he was this guy, he invented this car that was so much better than what was being put out by Dodge, Ford, and GM at the time. Or Chevrolet, I think it was, before GM, I think. No, they had GM, General Motors. But here's the thing, he put out something that was better, and they got worried. And they fought him tooth and nail to make it so they shut him down. And he was eventually shut down, and there were only 50 Tucker cars ever made. And to have one now there's only like 40-something left, and they're collector's items worth a buttload of money. Now here's the thing about that time period's different than this time period, because they didn't have the internet. They didn't have things like Kickstarter. I mean, crowdfunding, as much as we all complain about it because of the people that abuse what it's meant for, let's start thinking of it like this. These guys like Inafune, who made, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who did Mighty Number 9, and then you got this guy doing the new Castlevania, Bloodstained, the new version, the spiritual successors that they keep making. These are the future major companies, and we have to look at it like this. When they do these Kickstarters, even though they may have a buttload of money to work with, let's think of it like this. We're putting a vested interest into the games we want for the future. And hopefully they don't develop the same attitude down the road that, Konami and Square Enix and Capcom have now. Because you got to think about it. If Konami, Square Enix, and Capcom aren't going to give us the games we want, we need to support these guys to give us the games we want. And hopefully these guys can build their companies to where they are as big as Capcom, Konami, and Square Enix. That's what we need now. We need these guys to start, we need these guys to build their companies. And if that takes us donating $1, $5, or whatever, then so be it. Because you're going to always have the naysayers no matter what anybody does, because it's just the way the world is. These are going to have to be, we need to start supporting these indie developers, because that's what these guys are right now. They may be big names, but they're indie developers. When you start supporting the indie developers and find the ones that are doing the right thing, we need to start focusing and putting money and time and everything else and energy into them. Because if the big boys aren't going to play with us anymore, we need to let them go and move on. Because you already got Konami talking about moving on out of games. Let them. Screw them. We don't need them anymore. We don't need another Final Fantasy that's gonna suck. We don't need another. We need games like Contra back. We need games like Castlevania. We don't need those exact titles, but we need games like them because that's what we enjoy. We need to stop asking them to make these games for us and just start supporting the developers that will. And that's all I have to say about that. Because, it's like, what do? You just keep beating your head trying to just like, please make us the games we want. And they don't care. And eventually we just need to let them go. We need to just let them go. And I know it's a relationship that we've had for many years with these people, with these companies, not so much the people, but these companies, but we need to let them go. And we need to find a new company to love. Think about it. This is Video Game Corner, and I'm Jason. You guys have a good day.